What's up, YouTube? This is Too Raw for TV. So, in this video, I want to talk about a very popular guard who spent 6 years or 5.5 years with the Chicago Bulls. And he was very popular with Bulls fans, even though this was not a very successful period of time for the Bulls as far as team success. But he was a diamond in the rough for the team. Amazing consistency as a player. Had his best years with the Bulls, but it was the end of his tenure with the Chicago Bulls that rubbed many fans the wrong way. And even to this day, it causes pain for this player to remember how his tenure with the Bulls ended. And also, Bulls fans can often wonder what could have been had he stayed with the team. And I'm talking about Reggie Theus. Okay, Reggie Theus is a name that a lot of people probably don't remember. Um, some who are a little bit older might remember him more as an actor. All right, appearing on programs like Hang Time, different movies like Mike. Might remember him as a TNT broadcaster or analyst. May not quite remember him as a basketball player. But Reggie Theus was one hell of a basketball player. He played in over 1,000 games. For his career, he averaged over 18 points a game and 6 assists per game. As a matter of fact, Reggie Theus is one of only two players at this time who are 6'7" and taller to have 700 assists in a season. The other being Magic Johnson. So Reggie Theus was special. He scored over 19,000 points in his career. He played in the NBA from 1978 to 1991. Spent a couple of years overseas before retiring from basketball, professional basketball, for good in 1993, 1994. Now, Reggie Theus went to college, played college ball in UNLV. He was drafted in 1978. He finished second in the Rookie of the Year contest, Rookie of the Year chase, I should say, in 1978. But Reggie Theus, as a basketball player, was a multifaceted offensive threat. He was a great facilitator. He had great court vision. Um, he could get on a roll offensively. Um, and this translated to him being one of the top guards in the NBA. Like I said before, this was a time when being a 6'7" point guard, I mean, he could play both positions. He had the scoring prowess and shot making ability to be a shooting guard, but he had the court vision and passing ability to be a point guard as well. And to be 6'7" at that time was special. Um, so as I said before, he kind of gets forgotten in history. But when he was playing with Chicago, unfortunately, he wasn't playing with Michael Jordan. He wasn't playing with Scottie Pippen. He wasn't playing with Dennis Rodman. He wasn't playing even with Horace Grant. He was playing with, when the team had guys like, now they did have Artis Gilmore initially, but they didn't have much more other than that. They had, maybe guys like Dave Greenwood, I think his name is Ricky Sobers, um, Larry Keenan later on, um, Quentin Daly, Orlando Woolrich. Many of the players I mentioned ended up having substance abuse issues. So they weren't able to maximize their ability on there in the basketball court, especially Quentin Daly and Orlando Woolrich. And that was later on. Other than that, they didn't really have a great roster. Um, they had their years where they won. I think it was one year they won. I think they went like 45 and 37 or something like that one year. But they had some really, really bad years, man. 1982 283. I think they went 28-54. But Reggie Theus himself was a great player. Now, one thing he wasn't was a great defender. He was not a great defensive player, but that's not what his MO was. Now, what ran him out of Chicago was this. For whatever reason, Kevin Lowry, who was Michael Jordan's first coach, um, did not like Reggie Theus, which doesn't make sense because most of his teammates liked him. Um, he was popular with fans. I don't know exactly what it was, but Kevin Lowry did not like Reggie Theus. And what happened was Kevin Lowry wanted a defensive team out there. So Reggie Theus went from averaging like 35, 36 minutes a game to averaging like 18 minutes a game. And his scoring plummeted. He went from averaging 23 points a game to averaging something like 9 points a game. He wasn't getting minutes. He wasn't playing in impactful periods of the game. Maybe, in blowouts or, when the game is in hand. According to Reggie Theus, side of the story, he said Kevin Lowry tried to turn his teammates against him. By telling Reggie Theus to play selfishly when he's out there to sort of pad his numbers. Because as I said before, when you did that back then, that was not looked upon fondly with your team. And then ultimately, 15 minutes before the trade deadline ended, Reggie Theus was traded to the Sacramento Kings. And what's interesting about that is Reggie Theus, had he stayed, most likely would have played with Michael Jordan. And you have to wonder what that could have been like had he played with him the first couple of years when Mike was with the Chicago Bulls. Would they have uh, evolved quicker as a team? Could Reggie have been a mentor to Mike? Now, one of the things that would have complicated that is the fact that earlier on in Michael Jordan's career, he hated Reggie Theus. Why? Why another guy hated Reggie Theus? Well, the reason why Michael Jordan hated Reggie Theus is uh, Reggie Theus dated what would become Michael Jordan's wife. And as competitive as Michael Jordan is, that was enough. But over time, they've become friends and moved on from that. Over the years, Reggie Theus played with different teams. He played for the Sacramento Kings, Atlanta Hawks. When he was with the Sacramento Kings, he became more of a point guard. I believe one of those years he averaged over 9 assists per game. By the time he went to Atlanta Hawks, he was more of a journeyman at that point in his career, even though he still was rather young, only about 30 years old. And he finished his career in 1991. But ultimately, he went down as one of the better players of his generation. But you do wonder, had things went differently with him in Chicago, how would he be viewed today if he did not get traded and they drafted Michael Jordan and they moved Reggie Theus to the point guard position and they played together? And, he wouldn't be like in the rear view mirror, in the blurry mirror of the pre-Jordan era with the Bulls, and you have more footage of him playing with Michael Jordan. I'm talking about for people who are younger, like look at stuff on YouTube, but people would know he'd be more of a name associated with the Chicago Bulls. So that's something that's interesting to think about. But Reggie Theus, one of the unsung great players in the history of the game. Tell me what you guys think. Those of you who remember Reggie Theus, tell me what you guys think about him and what you remember about him.